Okay, folks. Well, I think we're going to get started with our session just because we're a little bit past 12 now. So good afternoon. Thank you all for being with us today. Welcome to the Brantford Open House and to our residence session. We are excited to be speaking with you all about our residence program, the application process, and showcase some virtual tours so y'all can see and get a feel for what our residence spaces look like. We are happy to answer your questions. Please feel free to write them in the chat as we go through the presentation. We're going to try to answer them towards the end, so that way maybe we can answer your questions throughout the presentation. Maybe we say something that you're like, oh, that's what I was wondering, and you're good. But we'll be keeping an eye on the chat just in case. There are a couple of things we want you to mention or want us to mention before we start. We have 2 links that are important to the fall open house. So if you're interested in our Ask the Experts recruitment drop-in session at 2 p.m., we have the link. Jacob's going to just throw it into the chat. And we also have, if you're looking to connect with a one-on-one or have a one-on-one with a Laurier today at between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., we also have a Zoom link for that as well. So that will all be put in the chat in case you're wondering. Okay. So to begin, I want to start with a land introduction. We would like to acknowledge that Wilfrid Laurier University and its campuses are located on the Haldimand Tract, traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. This land is part of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples and symbolizes the agreement to share, protect our resources, and not to engage in conflict. From the Haldimand Treaty of October 25th, 1784, this territory is described as 6 miles deep from each side of the river, Grand River, beginning at Lake Erie and extending in the proportion to the head of said river, which them and their posterity are to enjoy forever. The treaty was signed by the British with their allies, the Six Nations, after the American Revolution. Despite being the largest reserve demographically in Canada, those nations now reside on less than 5% of this original territory. And now for our introduction. So my name is Dominique De Silva. I am the Residence Education Coordinator here on the Brantford campus. My role is to support the educational programming and events that take place in our residence buildings, as well as support our student staff and first-year students in residence. I am a Laurier graduate. I studied political science and public policy, but on the Waterloo campus. But I love Brantford. It's such a great, tight-knit community, and I'm happy to be here. I lived in residence for 4 years in my undergrad, so as a first-year student, and then 3 years as a Dawn, and now I'll pass it over to my colleague.
Alrighty, very similar to Dom. My name is Jacob Fournier. I'm a Residence Life Area Coordinator. I work to support our Residence Life Dons, which you'll learn a little bit about later on in the presentation, as well as supporting our first-year students who live in residence. Like Dom, I was also a Laurier graduate. I just graduated in June of this year, which was really exciting for me. I am now working out of our Waterloo campus after studying for 4 years on our Brantford campus. And I too lived in residence for all 4 years as a Residence Life Don and a campus council advisor. So we're really excited to be able to talk to you all, and we'll get started on just an outline of the day of what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to go over a few different things, specifically regarding the application and some important dates. So we're going to go over that in living choices, options, costs, and how to apply. We're then going to talk about roommates and any accommodations you might need and how that process works with our residence application. Then we'll briefly go over some meal plans, and then we'll talk about getting involved in residence, and then we'll get to the main event that I'm sure most of you are waiting for, where you get to see some of our lovely volunteers live tour of their room. So very excited, action-packed day. We'll just hop in and get started. Alrighty. So for those of you who are viewing this on a laptop that might be more user-friendly to take a screenshot, take a quick screen grab of these important dates. These are the dates for our application and the dates for any medical information to be passed along to residents so that we're able to place you in consideration with your accommodations. So the residence application, along with the $600 non-refundable residence deposit, must be submitted by 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. And then the residence disability and medical verification form for accessibility/medical concerns must be received in the Department of Residence office by 4:30 p.m. on June 8th, 2022. It's very important that these documentations get back to us by the dates we've listed, so that we're able to place you in accordance with the accommodations that you may need to be the most successful within our program. All Alrighty, so we do have an online application system. So how this works is in order to apply to our residents, you must have an offer on OUAC for Wilfrid Laurier University. You do not have to confirm your application before applying, but you must have an offer of acceptance from our university prior to starting our process. So you will receive an email from the Department of Residence with information on how to apply, including a link. You do not need to complete the residence application in one session. The application can be saved and accessed at a later time. Alrighty, so this is a quick screen grab of what our application looks like. It's a very easy to use system. So pretty much when you get that magic email telling you you can apply to residence, you'll see a get started button. All you have to do is click that and it'll bring up some more options, which we'll chat about in a little bit, that you just go through and fill out and let us know your preferences so we can place you accordingly. Okay, so a little bit of background information on how our room assignment process works. So we send out an email to ask you to fill out your housing application in June, and then our admin team process that information from June to August. So they're working very diligently to place all of our students. So room assignments are generally lottery based. We do try to place people upon their first or second residence preference. So this is single or double room preference. So you indicate one or the other. Placements will largely depend on the number of applicants we receive for each residence style. So typically there's a greater demand for single rooms versus dorm doubles or like other rooms of that variety. So you might see a lot more applications for one style versus the other, but we will try and place you based off of your preference. But after that, it's very much a lottery. But we are always willing to communicate with you based off of that as well. You are able to request one roommate, which we'll get into more detail a little later on in the presentation.
Okay, so now moving into the inclusivity and accommodations in residence portion of the presentation, we have a diversity statement that is so important for students to understand and really read through while they work on their residence application. And I'm going to read it out to all of you today. So Laurier acknowledges and respects the richness and diversity of all members of our community and values their contributions to every aspect of university life. The Department of Residence strives to affirm people of all genders and sexual orientations, persons from diverse backgrounds, origins and religions, persons with disabilities, Indigenous persons, racialized persons, and other marginalized groups as contributing to the vitality of the Laurier community. The Department of Residence application and room placement process will reflect this belief. In doing so, we embed commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in each aspect of the residence experience. The Department of Residence Code of Conduct is aligned with the policies and guidelines captured within the institutional documents, such as the Residence Hall Agreement, the Gendered and Sexual Violence Policy, and the Non-Academic Code of Conduct. And we want to speak a bit to gender inclusive residence. So the Department of Residence recognizes it's a student's legal right in Ontario to self-identify their gender and or their gender identity. As such, students are placed in residence based on their self-identified gender and their gender identity and not their assigned birth gender. So we are proud to offer gender inclusive housing for students who are interested in living in these communities. In our gender inclusive communities, gender identity is not considered during the placement process, and students are placed with other students who identify as a variety of genders, such as, but not limited to, cisgendered male, cisgendered female, trans, non-binary, genderqueer, two-spirit, different identity, and so forth. And we're going to talk more about the housing options and what that looks like. So on the Brantford campus, the Department of Residence offers housing options in two categories: gendered inclusive housing and co-ed housing. So with co-ed housing, students living in the residence building identify as various gendered identities, but students are placed in rooms or apartments with other students who identify as the same gender identity as themselves. And as I said, with gender inclusive housing, gender identity is not considered in the placement process, and students are placed with other students who identify as a variety of genders. And so with single gendered housing, this is specific to the Waterloo campus, and that is because dormitory style of residence living is offered on that campus, but I'll go through it anyway in case you're wondering. So this is when all students living in residence buildings or a community identify as the same gender. These communities are available for students who identify as cisgendered man or cisgendered woman, and typically accommodate students with religious or cultural needs who require single gendered environments. Okay, and now the medical and disability accommodations. So Laurier's Department of Residence strives to create inclusive communities and provide housing options that accommodates the need of persons and documented medical needs with disabilities. And that is actually what Jacob mentioned earlier when he was pointing out the application process. If you require accommodations in residence based upon a documented medical condition or disability, you do need to submit a completed residence disability and medical verification form. And this form can be downloaded from within the online residence application. And it needs to be completed by your registered healthcare professional. So completed forms do need to be received in the Department of Residence by the deadline noted within the residence application. So that would be Wednesday, June 8th, 2022, 4:30 p.m. I'll talk briefly about service animals. I feel like this could come up. For incoming students who are applying for residence and require a service or support animal, they are required to have their doctor complete the residence disability and medical verification form, as I just said. And that can be downloaded from within the residence application. I figured that might come up, so I thought I would just answer that there. And if you require housing related accommodations with respect to your residence placement, and you also require academic accommodations and access to support services, you do need to complete two processes. So one is with us, as we just mentioned, and the other is with the Accessible Learning Center. And the Accessible Learning Center has their own separate online registration process. So again, that won't be in your residence application. That would be a separate process. I do see the chat. Does medical and disability accommodations apply to mental health? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And yeah, we'll talk more about this in the presentation.
Alrighty. So there are a few different styles of residence rooms that we offer. So specifically, there are 5 residence styles. Some of them are sub-styles, but we'll go over them very quickly. So we have dormitory, traditional, and semi-private, which are pretty specific to our Laurier Waterloo campus. We have apartment style, which makes up the entire Brantford campus. All Brantford campus rooms are apartment style, mainly with apartment regular, meaning that you won't have an ensuite bathroom, but there will be bathrooms within the unit for you to use, and you will have a shared kitchen and common space. Then the 2 types of specific accommodations for your room are you're either in a single room or you're in a shared double room. So this is a room that you share with somebody else specifically versus just staying in a room by yourself. Alrighty, so this is a quick breakdown of our fees for this current year. They are set to increase just a little for next year, but it just gives you an idea of what our costs are and how to kind of plan ahead. So if you want to take a screen grab of this, go for it. This is also available on the Laurier Department of Residence website. Alrighty, so I mentioned earlier on in the presentation that there is a residence deposit that we ask for when you submit your application form. So part of the residence application process includes a payment of a $600 non-refundable residence deposit. Visa and MasterCard are the only method of payment accepted. Any other type of credit card, debit card, or prepaid credit card cannot be used. You cannot pay your residence deposit by transferring funds onto your Laurier's account. All right, and this deposit is due by June 1st, 2022. And at that point, after June 1st, it is non-refundable. Alrighty, so roommate requests. So as I mentioned earlier, you are able to request 1 roommate. So you must form your roommate group by June 1st. So this is our application deadline. So you have until you receive an offer of acceptance until June 1st to say, I want to live with this other person that I know. You may only request 1 roommate, and roommate requests are not guaranteed for single dormitory style rooms, traditional or semi-private. This is a Waterloo specific fact, but we thought we would share it with you anyway. Both first and second residence preferences must match exactly based on both yours and your friend's application. So you both must say like, I really want to live in a single room, or I really want to live in a double room, and then we'll place you accordingly. They just have to match so we know that you both have the same interests. Perfect. And then this is what it looks like. And I don't know if you can see this very fun arrow up in the corner, but for you and your friend who you would like to form a roommate group with, you'll have something called a roommate code, which you'll see at the top right. And it'll say your roommate code and then a bunch of nonsense letters. Take those codes into consideration, send them to your friend so that when you go to click on the roommate tab of our application, you can either search for residence profiles, or you can say, find someone you know, and you can take that roommate code of your friend and you can put it in there. and then we'll pair your applications together. Alrighty. So after you submit your application, you will receive an email from us in August outlining your residence placement for the next 8 months while you're studying on the Brantford campus, which will be so exciting. So our admin team works very diligently, as I mentioned before, from June to August, answering questions, trying to place students. So there's a lot of background information that is going on, but it's always really exciting first week of August when we can send out those emails and we start getting emails back of what can I bring? How soon can I arrive? So we're very excited to be part of that process. And when you do have questions, you can direct them to the Department of Residence by emailing housing@w.ca for Waterloo students or Brantford residents at wlu.ca for Brantford students. And as the university will outline on our website, in accordance with the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, or FIPA, only the student can contact the Department of Residence in regards to the residence application or room assignment. This is because you are directly our client, you are directly the student that we have to run everything by. You are the person we are serving. We like to communicate with you specifically, and we don't want to share your personal information with other people without your permission.
Okay, now we'll go into Brantford meal plans. So first-year students living in residence must purchase a convenience plan if you are in Brantford. So all residences on the Brantford campus are apartment style, as we've mentioned, which means you'll have a kitchen in your apartment to cook in. It's a great way to learn that life skill. If you're someone who already cooks, that's awesome. If you're someone who doesn't cook, it's gonna be great. You can use your convenience plan to buy groceries at a local store, grocery store, grab a coffee on campus, or eat out at various food establishments in the downtown core. You can keep adding money to your convenience account, and the balance carries over from year to year. So I'm going to list a few places that you can actually use your convenience plan dollars, and it's at these locations. So the Stedman Community Bookstore, this is where students purchase their textbooks for their courses. You can buy Laurier merchandise such as sweaters, t-shirts, notebooks. It works at the Golden Grounds Cafe, which is a cafe on campus in one of our academic buildings. Boston Pizza, Freshco, which is a grocery store downtown. Sunset Grill, they've got great pancakes. The Works Burger Bistro, Gino's Pizza, and 9 North, which is a Vietnamese and Thai cuisine place. So you can use it at any of those locations, and it's quite convenient, but especially at the grocery store. And so, like I said, you can keep adding money and it will carry over from year to year. But if you have specific questions about meal plans at Laurier, those can be directed to the One Card office. And that's at onecard@wlu.ca. And their email is listed on this slide below. And the only reason we would send you there is because they're the ones who put together your Student One Card, which includes your convenience dollars. It's how you access academic spaces and your residence spaces when you come to the Brantford campus. So it's really important that you reach out to them if you have very specific questions. Are meal plans required at Brantford? Sorry, I see a question in the chat. Yes, they are required. We want to ensure our students are eating and are able to access food sources on campus. So it is important. But if you have any specific questions, again, email onecard@wlu.ca if for some reason you feel like you don't need one. But we usually encourage first-year students to have a convenience plan. I see another question. Would there be on-campus jobs available for students? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of way you can, there's the bookstore, there's groups and associations on campus that hire students. They always look for part-time students who want to get involved. Jacob, do you want to speak a little bit more specific to that since you attended the Brantford campus?
Yeah, there's definitely different opportunities for students to get involved on campus. As Don mentioned before, Student Union is a big part of it. There are also other employment opportunities for Golden Grounds, which is a coffee shop that Don mentioned, as well as the bookstore, the hub, and even when you're an upper year student, you can also work within residence, which is a very exciting place to work, as I'm sure you might hear from some of our volunteers a little later. Is there a choice as to what campus you want to live at? And this really does depend on what your program is that you're applying for. So some programs are offered on both campuses, but some programs are very specific to the Brantford campus or to the Waterloo campus. So if you're a person who's maybe looking into our game design and development program, you would be looking at staying on our Brantford campus. Where if you were looking at studying English or history, you may have an option between both campuses. It does depend on what your offer of admittance indicates to you. And it will tell you if you're studying on Waterloo or if you're studying on our Brantford campus. Good questions.
Yeah, I see another question. Oh, away from meal plans. Okay, I'll answer this anyway. Social work is only available in Brantford. That was a question I received in the Q&A chat. Yes, that is correct. Do you have to purchase the card if you're living away from the campus? So your Student One card, you would be getting one as a student in general. So even if you weren't living in residence. So you don't actually have to purchase a meal plan if you're not living in residence, but you can put convenience dollars even if you are an off-campus student. Yeah. Is residence guaranteed in first year on the Brantford campus? Yeah.
Yeah, we guarantee residence to all first-year students. It's a stance by our university, so we will always look to place first-year students before we place upper-year students.
There you go. Okay, we'll keep going through the application or the presentation, but we'll answer more of your questions as we go. Okay, so now we'll be introducing the residence life student staff teams that reside in your buildings. So within the Department of Residence, there are two core roles our student staff have. You have residence life dons and residence education advisors. So dons are upper year students whose role is to ensure the needs of their students and community are being met. So dons provide support, they build genuine relationships with their students, promote responsible behavior, act as academic and social role models, and encourage respect and awareness of diversity. Dons facilitate programs and events to provide opportunities for personal growth, community building, and to have fun. Residence education advisors are responsible for facilitating residence-wide programming that supports academic success and personal growth at Laurier. REAs focus on programming resources for dons throughout the year and also for students, and they report and create programming that responds to community trends and needs. So for example, a few weeks ago, our residence education advisors ran programming surrounding making and managing money, which answers students' questions about financial literature, financial aid, OSAP, things like that. So we are one to make sure our students are very aware of how they can handle things throughout their undergrad, and that starts within our communities.
Alrighty, so a little bit about support and security. So these awesome people that we just mentioned a little earlier on in the presentation also work very diligently to provide you with a lot of support ongoing throughout the year. So connecting you with resources, just chatting with you if you're having a rough day to try and help you game plan how you can get back on track. So there's also other things that they do. As you can see in the top right corner there, we have duty don written on the back of the vest. Our student staff actually will be on patrol of our buildings from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and available on call at those times as well to handle any emergent issues with the first year population. And there are other folks that they can call up to if they need support as well. And these are professional staff that live full-time in our buildings. On top of that, we also have a few different resources, both within residence and within the university as a whole, such as residence counselor, academic advisors, and career counselors. So campus partners are always brought into campus throughout our different curricular approach model. And they're brought in at the right time of year in residence for when we notice that student trends really demand this campus partner being brought in. So on average, it's about a 5-minute walk from residence to another building on campus. This is a very general assumption. Like some people walk fast, some people walk slow. I was a very slow walker. I lived in the furthest residence in my first year. I made it to class within 8 minutes. So I like to say it's pretty accurate. It really depends on how excited you are to walk to class and how fast you can move. But 8 minutes is typically, if you are strolling, you will make it to an on-campus building. Our buildings are secured, as Dom mentioned earlier, either through swipe card, one card, fob access, or Medico key card access. So this is how you're going to enter our residence buildings, and then all of our rooms on the Brantford campus have their own specific key. Is this me as well?
Yeah, I think this one's you.
Okay, okay, couldn't remember. Alrighty, so opportunities to get involved. As we mentioned, there are many different opportunities to get involved within residence and Laurier as a whole. One of Laurier's main values is community, and we really do our best to help you find your place within the Golden Hawk family, and a lot of that starts within our residence program. So residence is committed to facilitating learning experiences that challenge first-year students to become self-authored leaders. All developmental efforts will be grounded in residence's 5 learning goals. And those learning goals are community integration and participation, life skills, self-awareness, academic curiosity and success, and equity, diversity, inclusion, and indigeneity.
Okay, so there are many ways for you to get involved and enhance your residence experience at Laurier. We want to highlight our Living Learning program. So these are our residence learning communities and our learning clusters. A residence learning community is a themed residence community where students live on the same floor and share a common interest, program, or coursework. And for example, this year we have our lead RLC, and this group of students tends to focus more on volunteerism, community outreach, and leadership. And they are all in different programs, but they have a very common interest-based goal of wanting to support the local and Laurier community. So they reside in post-house residence. Our learning clusters provide students with the opportunity to engage in programming with others who share a common interest while living in a traditional residence community or apartment style. Students participating in a learning cluster will be placed in the same residence building, but on different residence floors from each other. And this is a really great way to get to know students in your community, but then also meet with your group in a cluster. And often this is really great when you're trying to build study groups, or you just want to get to know people who are very similar to yourselves, but don't live in your community. And so the RLCs and LCs are designed to extend opportunities for learning and development beyond the classroom. And this is achieved by offering you opportunities to network with your peers, with faculty and staff through programs held in your residence and off campus. It's also a really great way to actually build connections with professors outside of the classroom as well, because we do have faculty who are partnered with our residence learning communities and our learning clusters. And if you're interested in applying for one of the learning communities or clusters, you will need to complete the residence learning communities and clusters section with an online residence application and answer a few of the questions laid out in that application. Also wanted to highlight with our residence learning clusters, we have two this year. It's the Laurier Sussex Law Cluster. So if you're someone who is interested in law and you're trying to go through the stream of attending Sussex University in a couple years, this is a really great way to get to know students while you're here on the Brantford campus. And then when you go overseas, you'll know some folks. So that's always a plus. And then we have our Game Changers Learning Cluster, which is for our game design students and our user experience design, I hope I said that right, students, and they get together, whether it's to do schoolwork or for interest-based gaming purposes. So it's always a really important time. And actually one of our volunteers is in the learning cluster for Game Changers. So hopefully Micah could speak to that at the end of our session. Okay, and then there's the first year leadership program. And so this program creates unique opportunities for students living in residence to find their fit and to truly understand who they are as student leaders. You might be people who've experienced leadership roles in the past, or maybe you aren't, and this is just a really great way to build your confidence at Laurier. So there are over 400 leadership positions available to first-year students on both campuses, and Laurier's residence program continues to thrive because of the energy new leaders bring every single year. So this is really great to explore the ways you can get involved and shape your residence experience. So we have councils, which essentially enact as student councils that you may have seen in high school, and hope I'm not dating myself, but even elementary school, where you would come together and create events and programming for students in your buildings. So for example, our Brantford Residence Council hosted a virtual speed friending event. So all the students in every single residence could hop on a Zoom link and just get to know each other. They were thrown in breakout rooms and just simply got to learn who else attends Laurier, just because it could be a little isolating with the pandemic and everything. We also have a few other councils. We have Art Hawks, Sustainability and Social Change Council, Athletic and Wellness Council. Those are interest-based and themed councils. So if you have an interest in any of these areas, we would definitely encourage you to apply as soon as you come to campus, because we are always looking for first-year students to join us. And then we have the leadership certificate, and this is a registration-based program, and it's comprised of a series of workshops that encourages first-year students to explore their leadership style and understand the impact that they have on the greater community. This past academic year, despite the pandemic, despite everything being virtual, 124 students actually received credit for completing this program. It went on their Laurier Experience Record, which is essentially a co-curricular record. And this is really great if you're looking to do placements. So for example, if you're in social work and you have to do a placement in your upper years, this looks great on your experience record. If you're applying to jobs, you can have someone speak to the fact that you were able to complete this program and reflect on it with the capstone. So this is just a great way for you to learn more about who you are as a leader and grow in a developmental way. Okay, and so we're on the last slide. I really encourage you all to take a screenshot and take photos of this slide. This is so how we could stay in touch for the rest of the year. So we have Waterloo and Brantford information listed. That would be our phone and email. Those are two different entities that you can contact. We have our wo.ca residence email, and we also have, website, and we also have our social media, which is multi-campus, and we're trying to post as much as we can, give and deliver content to all of our students. And as we get into the winter term, we are going to be centering our content more towards you, our prospective Golden Hawks. So yeah, that's really important information to have. So take your screenshots. I'm going to stop sharing this so we can answer some questions and do some virtual tours, but we appreciate you folks listening. Okay, I guess we should get into some virtual tours then. This would be good. Okay, Micah, do you want to share your screen first or show your room?
Sure. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that first. So I'm in Grand River Hall. I'll try and make this work here. Got an extra camera. So Grand River Hall, this is, I think it's a single room usually without COVID because I have the one bed to myself. My roommates have bunk beds, but because of COVID, there's only one person per room. So they have like the bunk bed to themselves. And I've got my desk, all my stuff, and because I'm in game design, I obviously have like lots of gaming stuff like controllers and stuff, but I try to tuck some of that stuff away. I got a hook from the bookstore to hang my keys and stuff up so that I wouldn't forget them. Don't want to get locked out of your room. Each door has a letter on it so that you know it's your room versus roommates and whatever. When you're first getting in, you can sort of remember the number or the letter rather than the placement. And then this is the like kitchen dining area, and then the entrance hallway. And then there's 2 washrooms in my apartment. So there's 3 of us, so we have to share one, but it's not too bad. And then this room over here has a storage area. We have like, it's quite big. I guess I can show it. You guys want me to show it off?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty empty because we don't have much to store away, but I brought my bike from home so I could bike around Brantford. So I have it tucked in here, and we've got some boxes to make it feel less empty. We just put boxes in the middle of the room. And then you've got a closet. It's pretty nice, whatever. And then we got our little kitchenette thing, microwave. The only stuff that came with the residence was the stove and the fridge. The other appliances we brought or got when we were like getting things to bring in. And then we've got a little table, bunch of chairs. And there is recycling and garbage and stuff. So it had these here when we came in. And then because all of us are in the learning cluster, we're all in the same program, in the game design program. So we have in our center table, just like it's chocked full of board games, and we've got a switch. And it's a pretty nice open living space here to just hang out or study in. And then 2 big, really nice windows. So yeah, that's I guess my space.
That's awesome. Micah, how do you enjoy living in the space?
Oh, it's fantastic. Like it is sort of isolating sometimes with COVID, not being able to like see lots of people, but it's very cozy and like Grand River Hall is in the perfect spot. It's right next to the YMCA and the library. So like I can just go and schedule like a swim time and just jump in the morning or at night if I want to. Like it's in the perfect spot, really.
Yeah, agreed. And also, yeah, the windows are huge. There's such great natural light that comes into those resident spaces. So yeah, thanks, Micah. Okay, Harry, do you want to show Expositor?
Yeah, got it. So my name is Harry, and I'm in the User Experience Design program. And I am in Brantford. This is Expositor Place on the first floor. And I'll switch my camera to show you what we have here.
That was such an MTV Cribs like introduction. I don't know if anyone knows what that is.
So this is my workspace over here. I got two laptops because you know, the MacBook. So if you're in the user experience design program, you're required to have a MacBook. But you know, I already have a Windows laptop. I'm probably gonna sell that later in the summer. But so I work with a monitor. So I have a second monitor because I work better. It's more efficient to have two screens for lectures, and you know, you have the other computer to work on your assignments and everything. Then I have this over here covered, and then my little window. But you know,
Hey Harry, I think people could see.
it's pretty bad outside. And then I got my fridge to keep my drinks in there. Or
Harry,
yeah.
do you want to try unmuting your phone and muting your computer? Because I think we can hear you, and because we can hear you, we're seeing your muted video instead of seeing your video. So try switching that up, and we'll see if we can figure that out real quick.
Okay.
It happens. It happens. This is
Thank you
what-
to all our attendees who pointed that out to
Man,
us.
how's this?
Yeah. Can everyone see okay?
Can we see Harry's bed? No?
No?
Oh,
Okay,
it looks
then.
like we still
I'll be-
can't hear. So
Yeah.
Harry, why don't we put you on pause and we'll maybe pivot to either Gordon or Leah.
Yeah.
No, I'll just switch to my my laptop.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Can we
Is
see
that-
Harry
can
now?
you see me?
Okay,
Yeah,
they can see you
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
technical
chat's-
difficulties. My phone gave up on me there. So I got my room here. That's my bed. Then got a drawer over there with 4 slots. And I got 2 shoe racks for my shoes. I don't have a lot of shoes, but got a lot of space over here. And then I got my Cheetos that I'm gonna eat after this wonderful meeting. Let's step outside for a bit. It's more light over here. And then I got the bathroom over here. The next floor. So this floor, we have 2 bathrooms because we have 5 students living in here. And then 2 people for each bathroom take over. But if there's right now we have 4 people living in the space. So we have 2 students per bathrooms. And the bathrooms are identical to each other. This is the same thing over there. I'm just gonna walk down the hall to see the next one. And it's a pretty long hall. Big. So as I'm walking by, these are also rooms side to side. And now we're in the living room in the kitchen. So it's a really big space. It's one of the biggest in Brantford. We got the bag, so we go shopping together every 2 weeks or every week, and we just have them all stacked here. So anyone wants to go out for shopping, it's over here. And then this is the kitchen. We've got a dispenser, which one of the students living in the space brought over. It's been really helpful because it's cold and hot sometimes. And we've got the sink, and we have there's a lot of cupboard space in this apartment. And even with 5 people, it's
Oh no, Harry, you froze.
still.
Okay, we
Harry was
lost.
doing so well.
Am I back?
So
Am I back?
You're back now. You're back now.
Yay, let's go. Okay, so this floor has Wi-Fi issues. So if I leave my room and come to the kitchen, the Wi-Fi signal gets more unstable. No, there's no dishwasher in this space. We have the oven here, just over there, pretty good, comfy. And the fridge, toaster, kettle. Now, this is the space to sit down, chill, and watch some TV together. And then, yeah, this is just all of my apartment. Just gonna walk in 360 to,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and over here is the second bathroom, which is identical. But,
So Daniel, to answer your question, this is apartment style and this is an expositor place residence. So Harry, how many roommates do you have?
I have 4 other roommates, so there's 5 people living in this space.
Gotcha. Thanks, Harry.
No problem. I'm just walking back to my room to sit down.
Our expositor place residence can hold as many as 3 students per room or 8 students per room. So the room sizes do vary depending on the amount of students there. But Harry's room is definitely one of the nicest rooms in expositor place.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Harry. Does anyone have any questions for Harry or Micah so far about the spaces? And just so everyone's aware, like we said in the presentation, Brantford residence, it's all apartment style. So your apartment won't necessarily look like Micah's or Harry's, but you'll have roommates and it'll be apartments.
There is a washroom in each apartment. So our typical rule for washrooms is it's like a 3-to-1 ratio. So if there are 3 students in the resident space, there's 1 washroom. If there are 4 students, then you'll have 2 washrooms, and we'll keep going like that until you add multiples of 3. All of our apartment style residences, you will have roommates, so you can have anywhere from 3 to 8 roommates depending on your building. We do allow you to decorate your room, and we give you resident stickies. So these are things that you can put on the wall that are guaranteed to not rip our paint. And we'll give you as many of those as you need to help decorate your space and make it feel like home. And for appliances and other things like that that you would like to bring to residents, we actually have those featured on our website for more information. Typically microwave, toaster, a mini fridge. Those are the expected usual ones year to year that we allow. There are also a few oddball ones that you might not think of that are also on our website. You are allowed to bring some furniture, but it has to be freestanding. It cannot be made out of wood, and it can't be something that's too big. So you can't really have your own chair other than a desk chair. And I think I've almost answered all these questions. Private washroom. So it depends on how many students are in your space, but you may be sharing a washroom with at least 1 other student. So that would be your roommate, but there are no communal washrooms on the floor. Each washroom is within the apartment. Alrighty, that was a good run of questions. Did I miss any? Each residence bedroom and apartment has its own lock. So you will be the only student who has the key to unlock your room door. Alrighty, excellent questions, friends. Do we want to pop over to Post House and pay a visit to either the 1st or 2nd floors?
We'll do Leah.
Who would like to go first? Leah.
Leah's ready.
I can go. Yeah, my name is Leah. I'm in my 2nd year of criminology, and I'm actually in the Sussex stream program. So I get to go to England next year. And you heard a little bit about that already. I will flip you around, put you close to my eye level. This is the front door where I come in, and almost immediately we hit the kitchen. That's my microwave that I brought. We have a nice little bar sitting area. So I lined up all my appliances over here. I'm currently the only one living in this space, so I kind of have my stuff all over the place. We have a few couches, nice sitting area.
Lower your camera slightly, Leah.
Is that better?
Perfect.
There you go.
We're just looking a little high up, but I think we're getting the. You might want to re-show your kitchen, but this looks perfect.
I can do that. We will go back to the kitchen. Is that better? Can everyone see that okay?
Yeah,
All right. Now if we go down this hallway, I have some plants in the window. This is the bathroom. It's smaller than the other ones that you've probably seen. There's the shower. And these are the rooms in my apartment. This one is mine. So I have 2 wardrobe style things, my desk, my bed, there's the other wardrobe, and the bookshelf, which I moved to put a bunch of miscellaneous items on, and back to the door. And that is my apartment.
Very nice. So Leah, we had just one student who asked a question, just because you are without roommates currently. They said that must feel kind of lonely. How is it without roommates? And like, what can you kind of talk about within the community aspect of residence? So even if you don't have a roommate, there are other people in and around to kind of chat with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at times it definitely does get a little lonely. Like when I come back to my room and I'm like, oh, time to make dinner all for myself. There's nobody else here, that kind of thing. But I also am a person that thrives off being alone, and I recharge that way. So it's been beneficial for me in that aspect. But I'm currently working on the student staff team. And so I've been able to go out and visit other staff members. We go on walks around Brantford. We hang out when we're not in class and that kind of thing. And so having that community around me, even though I'm all alone in this space and I can't really have anyone in this space right now, being able to go out and visit with other people definitely helps.
Awesome. And Shay, to answer your question, I hope it's Shay. If not, I'm horribly sorry about mispronouncing your name. There is no curfew on campus, but we do have something called quiet hours. So these are just hours where we expect most students are trying to wind down for the night. So we ask you to just be considerate of them, trying to prioritize their sleeping patterns or trying to prioritize their academics. So we ask that no noise or minimal noise happens during these times. Good question. We do try to place students based off of their accommodation. So if they do have a medical note, we will be more than willing to work with them to place them in a space that best fits their needs. So definitely if they have a medical note and can communicate with the Department of Residence, we will take that all into consideration during the room placement process. That is an excellent question. Alrighty, Leah, thank you so much for showing me my old room. It looks wonderful. I love what you've done with it. Gordon, let's see the second floor. Let's see where you're looking.
Okay, let me just unplug everything from my TV because I have it hooked up as my second monitor. Okay, so wait, can everyone still see it? Because I can't tell.
Yeah, we can see you.
All right.
Really tall, so you may have to lower.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
great point. 1 second. Okay, so wait, is this low enough?
I think
This should do. This should do.
Okay, so
so.
my bed is significantly more decorated than Harry's. His is kind of bland, but that's okay. Then I
Wow.
have my enormous amount of shoes for no reason and miscellaneous things on my shelf, such as paper airplanes. Yeah, TV, PlayStation, Duty Dawn vest. I don't know if this is still a good level. Then
You're doing
walking
great.
out.
That's good.
So washroom, it's the exact same as Leah's. So yeah. Then the common space, dinner table, and then my kitchen. I still don't know if this is a good level.
You're doing great, Gordon. Thank you so much.
Okay. Also, when Leah gets lonely, I just stomp on the ground a little bit to just, say hi.
It's really funny because he's in his kitchen right now and I can hear him walking around.
You're
So-
welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's basically my space.
That's perfect.
So that's about it. Yeah.
Great. And I think that's the end of our live tours. And as you can see, we do offer a variety of different resident spaces, and each student has made their space their own, which is always really cool to see how they do it. I've lived in each of the residences that are open in the Brantford campus, and I can honestly tell you I still can't pick my favorite. Each residence has their own little charm that really does make it feel like home, and the community of people you're surrounded with really impact your experience. And I've been very fortunate to have 4 years of great experiences within our residence program, especially on the Brantford campus. So it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. So thank you so much for showing all of your rooms. And Dom, do you have any final notes that you would like to say before we wrap up with final questions?
Yeah, I think some final notes is residence is truly a really great way to get to know people. It really immerses yourself on our campus and with your academics. Students often get a chance to meet students in their program. They get to work with upper years. They're supported by upper year students, and Jacob and I, amongst Leah, Harry, and Gordon, and Mike happens to be a first year, but we're all here to support our first year students who live in our residence buildings. So we are so happy y'all attended our session. We do have about 7 minutes left of our session that is recorded. So does anyone else have any other questions that we can answer? Okay, maybe I'll pass it over. Maybe I'll ask Micah a question.
Ooh, it looks
Mike-
like we have one question they're working on. So we'll hop back to you once you're done typing. But thank you so much for letting us know. We're waiting in anticipation.
Yeah. What is the
What is the focus of Brantford? I like how we both read out loud. I'm
Yeah,
so
I know.
sorry. We both can read in our heads, but we chose to let you know that we could read it together. So
Right.
Brantford is a very diverse campus with what we offer with programs of study. They mainly follow the human and social sciences faculty or the faculty of liberal arts. So these are things like history, English. We also have social work, criminology, law and society, human rights and human diversity, and psychology. And there are a few others that I'm obviously forgetting, like user experience design. And we can definitely point you in the direction of the program outlines on our website. So if you go to Laurier, you'll be able to see a breakdown of what is offered on Waterloo and what is offered within Brantford. That is a very good question.
Yeah. Is there a phys ed facility near residences? Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
have
there is.
amazing Laurier YMCA gym. I really wish I could just like turn from my office so I could show you, but the window, you won't be able to see it. But it's this amazing facility. It has a pool. It's very large. It's quite new too. I believe, Jacob, if I'm wrong, maybe in the last like 4 years, it was like brought in or built.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, going into its 3rd year of operation.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. I really like the space, and yeah, it's accessible to all students. So yes, there's definitely a gym facility near residence. Okay, does residence try to pair you with someone who has similar habits to yourself? Yeah, in the application, there are specific questions that they ask you to answer. I think a common question is often like, oh, like, are you like a night owl or an early bird? Are you someone who likes to get up early in the mornings, or someone who needs to like do homework later in the evening? So you might be up. So there are specific questions in the application designed to kind of filter that out.
And is this question for the double degree science and law, is this related to political science in our Sussex stream?
Maybe I'll give, do you want to pass that to Leah maybe?
Possibly. I love the confidence. We don't have political science offered within Brantford, but it is offered within Waterloo. And Leah can definitely talk more about the program. I was in the criminology and Sussex stream, very similar to Leah, but I elected to stay at Laurier because I fell in love with the campus and the people. So we'll let Leah chat a little bit more about the baseline of the program. She works directly with the coordinator for the program, and I'm sure Leah can tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, for sure. Could you just repeat I can't find the question in the chat. I'm trying to scroll.
So
Could you
it's
repeat
just
the
a little bit
question?
more information about the like Sussex program, and just asking for like how it's set up specifically for poli-sci, but we don't have poli-sci within Brantford. So we're referring to you as our Sussex student to kind
Okay,
of
for
just give
sure.
us a baseline of what the program's all about.
Yeah, so essentially the program is a 6-year program, and you'll get your Bachelor of Arts, your Honors Bachelor of Arts, and your law degree in those 6 years. So the first 2 years you're on campus at Laurier, you're working on your BA. And your second year, that's when you spend a lot of time focusing on all the paperwork and the forms and the application process to get into Sussex. But if you're part of this stream, you're automatically guaranteed acceptance into Sussex as long as you meet the program requirements. So I believe it's a 7.0 or 8.0 GPA by the end of your 2 years here. And that's overall. And then you go to Sussex for 3 years. So you're living in Brighton at the University of Sussex. You're technically a University of Sussex student. So you're part of that school for the 3 years. After those 3 years, you get your law degree. You come back to Laurier for your 6th year, and they have a bunch of courses to help you with the accreditation process, because to be able to practice law in Canada, you have to do a series of exams because you're getting an international law degree. So they prep you for those exams, you take those exams, and then in second semester, you are doing your final courses for your BA. Then you're done.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Oh, Leah, there is a question, just since you're talking about the program, would the law degree that you get in Sussex let you practice law in Canada?
So it will once you do the accreditation exams. So I believe there are 7. I'm not exactly sure how that process works yet, but I believe the first round of 6-year students are back in Canada now, I believe. So they would be able to speak more about that, but you just have to write some exams and then you're good to go for practicing law in Canada.
Awesome. Thanks, Leah. We really appreciate it. Okay, we do have 2 minutes. I will answer a question in the chat. So if there's any faculty-based webinars, those will be taking place this semester. I believe there should be some running during this open house, but they do take place throughout the entire year. There are professors, students, tutorial assistants, they're always ready to answer questions for students. So we may not have direct links for those webinars today, but we do require you to go on the website and check those out. So, and there's no rush, there will always be a webinar for you to attend. Okay, well, folks, that's it from us. We really appreciate all of you attending today. Hopefully this helps with some of the decision-making processes y'all are going through. This is such an exciting time. So congratulations to all of you and good luck.